The attacker didn't write a single line of code. They picked up the phone. They called your IT help desk, impersonated a newly hired regional director, claimed they were locked out of their account on their first day, expressed appropriate frustration, and got their password reset. They then logged in with the new credentials and had full access. The entire attack took 11 minutes. No CVE, no exploit, no technical skill required, just a convincing voice and a prepared story. This is social engineering. And it has been the initial access vector in some of the most damaging data breaches in recorded history. Social engineering exploits cognitive biases and social norms that are deeply hardwired in human psychology. Authority. We comply with requests from people we perceive as authority figures, even without verification. Urgency. We make poor decisions under time pressure. The urgency is manufactured specifically to bypass rational evaluation. Social proof. We're more likely to do something if we believe others are doing it. Reciprocity. We feel obligated to return favors, including compliance for small gestures. Likability. We're more likely to comply with people we find personable. These aren't character flaws. They're the social mechanisms that allow organizations to function. Attackers reverse engineer them as attack vectors. The Twitter hack of 2020 demonstrated social engineering at scale. 17-year-old Graham Ivan Clark called Twitter employees, impersonating an IT worker from Twitter's internal support team. He convinced Twitter employees to provide VPN credentials and two-factor authentication codes. With that access, he gained control of Twitter's admin panel, used internally to manage accounts. He then took over the accounts of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Apple, Jeff Bezos, and others, tweeting a Bitcoin scam. The hack generated over $100,000 in cryptocurrency. The technical controls on some of the most visible accounts on the internet were bypassed entirely by a teenager on the phone. Pretexting is the foundation of most social engineering. The attacker constructs a fictional identity and scenario, a pretext, that provides a plausible reason for the request they're about to make. The IT vendor who needs to verify account credentials. The auditor who needs access to financial documents. The new employee who needs help getting started before their access is provisioned. Effective pretexts are researched. LinkedIn provides organizational structure. The company website provides department names and initiatives. Job postings reveal systems in use. A pretext built from accurate details, the right manager's name, the right project reference, the right internal terminology, is significantly more convincing than a generic story. Vishing, voice phishing, is the phone-based attack vector. Attackers use VoIP services to spoof caller ID, making calls appear to come from the target company's own internal numbers or from legitimate vendor numbers. An IT security call appearing to come from 1-800 Microsoft is more convincing than an unknown number. Sophisticated vishing operations use background audio, call center noise, keyboard sounds to increase authenticity. ScatterSpider, the group that breached MGM Resorts in 2023, used vishing extensively. They called MGM's IT help desk, impersonated an employee whose information they pulled from LinkedIn, and social engineered their way to account access that cascaded into a $100 million outage. Physical social engineering involves gaining in-person access to restricted areas. Tailgating follows an authorized employee through a secured door. The attacker approaches confidently as someone badges in, and social norms around not closing a door in someone's face carry them through. Impersonation uses props, a delivery uniform, a clipboard, a high-visibility vest, to create an identity that justifies physical presence. In penetration testing engagements, physical social engineering assessments regularly succeed against organizations with technical security controls that would make a remote attacker's job very hard. The guard who holds the door for someone carrying boxes of equipment may be providing access worth more than any vulnerability in the firewall. Verification protocols are the primary technical defense. Callback procedures, rather than taking action based on an inbound call. Hang up and call the person back at a verified number. Break the caller ID spoofing that makes vishing convincing. Out-of-band verification for sensitive requests means verifying a request through a different channel than it arrived in. A password reset request that comes in via phone should require verification through the employee's email or manager before completion. Any process that can be initiated via social engineering and completed without independent verification is a target. Mapping those processes is the first step toward defending them. Security awareness training specifically targeting social engineering has measurably different outcomes than generic security training. Role-playing exercises, where employees practice responding to social engineering attempts, including being tested under realistic pressure, produce behavioral change that passive training does not. The critical skills are specific: slowing down when urgency is applied, verifying identity through out-of-band channels before acting, recognizing authority figures who can't be verified as a red flag rather than an override, and feeling psychologically safe to say no or slow down without fear of consequences. That last point requires organizational culture to support security practices rather than punish the appearance of unhelpfulness. Red Team social engineering assessments provide the most honest data about an organization's human layer vulnerability. A professional social engineering assessment involves trained operators calling employees, testing physical access, sending phishing emails, and measuring what percentage of tests result in success. Results are typically sobering on the first assessment. The value isn't in the failure. It's in identifying exactly which scenarios, which departments, and which processes are most vulnerable. Subsequent training and control improvements targeted at those specifics produce measurable improvement. Organizations that don't test never know where their actual vulnerabilities are until an attacker finds them. Every technical control in the world assumes the human operating it is making good decisions. Social engineering attacks that assumption directly and has a long track record of being correct. The people who fall for these attacks aren't naive. They're operating under normal human social mechanics that are being deliberately manipulated by someone who has studied those mechanics carefully. The defense isn't suspicion of everyone. It's verification of anyone requesting something sensitive, regardless of who they claim to be. If you want to understand the full attack chain that typically follows a successful social engineering compromise, how the attacker turns that initial access into a full breach, our video on how phishing actually works covers the complete sequence from initial manipulation to network-wide compromise. Social engineering is only the front door. What follows? It is a full attack chain that turns one phone call into a network-wide breach. If you want the complete sequence, our video on how phishing actually works walks through every step from first contact to compromise. It is on this channel.